raise your hand and tell me something that you identify with spring. What makes you think of spring? Yes, flowers. Flowers, absolutely. Anybody else? Twitter faded.
Twitter faded.
Sex. Baby animals. And then babies. Babies. Flowers, which are the sexual organs of plants. Sex, babies coming forth from that experience. Let's stick with the flowers. Yeah, flowers are good. I agree with you. I see those things too. And the farther we get into spring, the more we start seeing a lot of those things happening here in the Nature Center right now. Some of the flowers are starting to bloom. The hummingbirds have nest in every February, like I guess Anna's hummingbirds that are here in the Nature Center nest. And we have babies soon after. One of the things that I noticed last month when we were all chatting, or whoever I was chatting with from this group, when we were walking around, was that spring had already started in January here in California. We're lucky that way. And some of the things we started seeing, the signs of spring were more subtle. And I think in a way they're more magical. You start to see like just the bursting bud of a leaf that's not even green yet. You can just see the promise that there's life in that deciduous plant. These are the sycamore leaves. Some of them are just barely coming out, but last month you still saw like just maybe a few little green leaves coming out. So I love and appreciate those things. And what we're going to do right now is something called a trail of knowledge. And was it last month we did a Trail of Beauty, or 2 months ago?
2 months ago, I think.
This is the same author, Joseph Cornell. He wrote the Trail of Beauty, which is vastly more popular. But Trail of Knowledge is nice because we're not stopping and reading quotes. You're just walking in nature, alone, not talking to anybody else. We're going to go from here to the redwood forest, and maybe Raquel can walk first so that everyone knows where to stop, right? And you're walking alone. I want you to look for something that speaks to you, like that gives you that like warm and fuzzy, like maybe it's something that reminds you of spring. Maybe it's just something that gives you a warm and fuzzy that's based on nature. And I want you to remember one word or a very short phrase about that. And that's all you're assigned to do right now. That's it. Like take off that academic hat, put on that experience hat, because like they said from the Monarch Joint Venture, if you feel that connection to nature and you feel that joy with nature, then the students that you have will feel that same connection and joy, because they'll be ignited by your passion. So let's give ourselves a little second to do a little me time and go for it. Raquel, will you walk down that way? If you want to stop while you're like admiring something, just go for it. The person behind you, if you're that person, you can just pass them, and somebody will pass you. But we'll meet at the registry. Just we'll save the left so that we don't get lost. I've lost people before. They're out there still. They're having a good old time. Come on. And I'm just gonna release you guys as goes. Like maybe I'm gonna give you something. Can you go now? Okay. So you're just remembering a word or a very short phrase, and we're gonna do it. Go for it. And it should go a little faster than the Trail of Beauty as well. I'll mention that in the past I have done activities where even very young children have been trusted to be alone in circumstances like this. And the experience for them was life altering because they're never alone, right? Remember, you can, if somebody's super slow or stops, don't feel pressure. If you're that person, you can pass them. The whole idea is just not to talk to anybody. Be in your own head. I can show you the books that I have in my possession while we're waiting. So this is the actual book that this activity came from. This is a very old version, and if you go on Amazon right now, the cover is green and looks very different. you can still buy the old version. And then this is another super old copy of a totally different book with a very similar name. And some of the activities are the same, but some of them are different. So, thank you. And in the email that Mindy will send, she will include a link to the book that had this activity in it and some other Joseph Cornell activities as well. They're both by Joseph Cornell. He's written several books. He's written books in 27 languages. They're popular for environmental educators all over the world, obviously. And I think it was the Forest Service or something like the USFS counts his books as like one of the top 10 environmental education books that are out there, which is saying something because there's a lot. Yeah. nothing. In all of my experience, it doesn't want to be near anything else. It grows in the drip line of oak trees. Okay. Just in the sun, where it's going to get water from the edges of the canopy. All right, is everybody back? Yeah, okay. I'll turn first. The thing that I liked the best I saw over and over again was the brand new growth on the oak leaves specifically. There's lots of brand new growth on everything. And the word that came to mind eventually when my brain started functioning was fragile. Like it's so soft and so easy to tear. And yet like the older oak leaves are they're literally called scleriferous. They're hard and crunchy, like old, like us. Just kidding. Never mind. But yeah, fragile.
I just noticed how green everything is. I love that about spring because it seems like it's so brown most of the year, and just for a few months, sometimes even weeks, it's so green. And it's so green in there. I just felt like everywhere I looked, there was shelter.
Ooh. That's a good one.
I was noticing all the brand new flowers that some have actually bloomed, but there's a tiny one.
Yeah.
And the others are waiting to. But I just kept thinking about literally my kindergarten child keeps coming to me with the word bud for me to read it to her. Other words too, but that one sticks out in my mind. And that she said, "What is a bud?" And I told her it's a baby flower. And of course she loved that. So I was noticing all the baby flowers.
The fact that doing something like this makes you be more observant. Like normally you're walking down, the street and you see big, charismatic, bright flowers, gaudy things. Those are the things that stick out to you. But when you take the time to slow down and just look around you, you see the small things, and sometimes they bring you more joy. And so like, just even, noticing them yourself, not even necessarily even pointing them out to the kids, but they see what you see. Sometimes if you point something out, they're less interested than if they just notice you enjoying something. Right?
Lucky. Those little clovers are that you were tearing up, I'm like, there's so many of them, and I like St. Patty's Day. So when I see them just have it they're flourishing. They have like little yellow flowers. Yeah, lucky. And we're lucky to have this environment. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Lucky you're here.
Mine was fiddlehead. Like the little fiddleheads coming out of the ferns that are starting to bloom. Like they're just really fun. They are fun. They're fun name. Yeah, good eye.
I was in awe of the different shapes of the leaves. Designs and textures.
My second choice word was diversity. So yeah, I'm here every single day, and I walk down these trails every single day, 6 days a week sometimes. And I didn't notice that until, of course I've noticed it, but I didn't really click until today. I was just like, wow, there's so many different shapes.
I have blooming, but then tranquil. It was just so relaxing.
Yeah. Lisa?
I love the scents, I love smells. And I love the way the mulch smells. I sniffing all the trees like my dog. I just love the different scents in spring. I have a lemon tree, so the flower, it just smells so good.
Yeah.
I love the different scents in spring.
What stuck out to me were the thorns. They're beautiful in a different way because the roses are always there. So you see the roses and you smell the roses, but just the thorns, I don't know. I don't know. That caught my attention.
That's great.
They're necessary too. They serve a purpose.
Yeah.
I also noticed the ferns and them curled up, and I just thought of the word unfolding. I guess spring unfolds,
For
like
sure.
it just is happening all around us.
Awesome. Can you share something else?
Sure. I just thought of this.
when I saw the fiddleheads, I was reminded of when I was in college. I took a field natural history class, and she had us find a plot of land. We had a huge campus, and we had to have like half in two different kind of environments, but I don't know how big it was, but like a square that we marked off, at least mentally. And we had to observe it every day for the 10-week period. So we were supposed to write in our journals. And of course, in the beginning, it was early spring. There was nothing on it. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty empty. And then I started seeing these little things that look like pipe cleaners coming out of the ground. And I'm like, I really didn't even know what they were because I was just, in college. And I'm like, what are they going to be? And then they just kept unrolling. And then they turned into ferns. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that's how they started. It was amazing to watch that. If you ever have a chance to pick an area just to watch it day by day and see how it changes. It was really amazing.
That repeat exposure is so powerful. So even if you obviously, when field trips come up again and everyone's bringing their kids here for field trips, those kids will get to spend 2 hours here. And that's obviously valuable and we want that to happen. But if there's something like that, even just in the schoolyard that they can watch the progress of, it's really awesome. All right, we're gonna do an active. Is it okay if I keep teaching?
Yeah, we can go for another like 10 to 12 minutes. Is that okay?
I think that's perfect. I am going to stand where Raquel is and I'm going to walk in the front of the line and we're going to play reporter because I don't even know if these people have ever done that, to our next stop.
Okay.
So the way that works is I will tell somebody behind me, I'll start with Raquel, so she knows what it is, to say something. And so when we're teaching it out in nature, we usually are using that as a tool for the kids to teach each other something we want them to know. But I'm just going to do just random stuff that I notice. And if you see something that you'd rather report on than what I tell you to report on, just do that instead.
Just follow. You'll pick up on it. Yeah.
So she's gonna stop and say it, and then you pass her by, and she goes to the end of the line. Okay. Okay, now I get it.
Look at these mushrooms. And then you keep walking and I'll tell every person I see you walk by.
Notice these mushrooms. Are they edible?
I wouldn't chance it.
I am not a
Janice,
mycologist.
you're next.
Janice,
Go over to
can you
Lori.
tell everybody to feel the fuzzy baby fern. Oh. Feel the fuzzy baby fern. Oh, it is fuzzy. It's seriously the cutest thing. It's like popping up. Oh my goodness. Feel the kids would love this. Can you tell everybody to feel this smooth? Sure. So interesting. Feel this smooth tree trunk. Ooh. This is a leaf from this tree. Okay, can you tell everyone to smell the baby from this tree? Okay. Ooh. Wow. Smell the baby. Wow.
It's very
You can
like it's
definitely
very
smell.
potent, so you should be able to smell it even with your mask on. If you want to end at the meadow deck, Lori, that's where Raquel has her stuff set up.
I was gonna do a quick little activity at the cyclist table.
Okay, close
And
enough.
then we can keep going. It'll be a circle.
Yeah.
Look at the new Buckeye leaves. Look at the new Buckeye leaves. Okay. I hope that helps.
That was an unfortunate. Yeah, he was old.
Oh, look at this.
Aw.
Oh, you got your work cut out
All
for
right,
here.
come on over. Can you tell everyone to feel the fragile baby oak leaves?
Feel the fragile baby oak leaves, of course.
Oh. Is that what you said? If you could give me something messy.
Yeah.
Hugs and I was gonna bring you. Oh my gosh, and I totally forgot this morning.
Observe the tiny yellow golden currant flowers. Yes.
Golden
the
currant
golden currant. I would say most people would walk by that without noticing those things.
Oh, I can get
In fact, I walked
tiny
by it
flowers
twice
like that
today,
on my
Lori.
grass.
Yeah. So they call it sword flowers.
Golden currant flowers. I think so.
On Christmas Eve, 1968, astronaut Bill Anders snapped a photo of the Earth as Apollo 8 orbited the moon. Those three guys were surprised to see from their eyes our planet looked like an Earthrise. A blue orb hovering over the moon's gray horizon with deep oceans and silver skies. It was our world's first glance at itself, our first chance to see a shared reality, a declared stance and a commonality, a glimpse into our planet's mirror. And as threats grew nearer, our own urgency became clearer as we realized that we hold nothing dearer than this floating body we all call home. We've known that we're caught in the throes of climactic changes some say will just go away, while some simply pray to survive another day. For it is the obscure, the oppressed, the poor who, when the disaster is declared done, still suffer more than anyone. Climate change is the single greatest challenge of our time. Of this, you're certainly aware. It's saddening, but I cannot spare you from knowing an inconvenient fact, because it's the facts straight that get us to act and not to wait. So I tell you this not to scare you, but to prepare you, to dare you to dream a different reality, where despite disparities, we all care to protect the world, this riddled blue marble, this little true marvel, to muster the verve and the nerve to see how we can serve our planet. You don't need to be a politician to make it your mission to conserve, to protect, to preserve the one and only home that is ours, to use your unique power to give next generations the planet they deserve. We are demonstrating, creating, advocating. We heed this inconvenient truth because we need to be anything but lenient with the future of our youth. And while this is a training in sustaining the future of our planet, there is no rehearsal. The time is now, 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 because the reversal of harm and protection of a future so universal should be anything but controversial. So Earth, pale blue dot, we will fail you not. Just as we chose to go to the moon, we know it's never too soon to choose hope. We choose to do more than cope with climate change. We choose to end it. We refuse to lose. Together we do this and more, not because it's very easy or nice, but because it's a necessity. Because with every dawn we carry the weight of the fate of this celestial body orbiting a star. And as heavy as that weight sounded, it doesn't hold us down, but it keeps us grounded, steady, ready. Because an environmental movement of this size is simply another form of an Earthrise. To see it, close your eyes. Visualize that all of us leaders in this room and outside of these walls or in the halls, all of us change makers are in a spacecraft floating like a silver raft in space. And we see the face of our planet anew. We relish the view. We witness its round green and brilliant blue, which inspires us to ask deeply, wholly, what can we do? Open your eyes. Know that the future of this wise planet lies right in sight, right in all of us. Trust this Earth rising. All of us bring light to exciting solutions never tried before, for it is our hope that implores us at our uncompromising core to keep rising up for an Earth more than worth fighting for. So poetry can be very, very powerful. We're gonna write a quick poem together in a minute, but I just wondered if anyone knew who wrote that. So Amanda Gorman.
Oh,
Yeah, this was like several years ago too. It was when she was speaking at an Al Gore conference. The poetry that we're gonna do is another activity from Joseph Cornell, and it's called a folding poem. And the reason it's really special is because you're doing it with 2 other people. So you'll be in groups of 3. And I want you to reflect on the shared nature experience that you just had, whether it was the trail of knowledge or even the, what do we call it?
Trail of beauty.
Reporter
Oh,
activity. It doesn't matter. It can be super serious. It can be lighthearted. So if you're 3 people, one is A, one is B, one is C. Person number A writes the first line and gives it to person number B, who writes the second line and the third line. Then you fold it. And person number C sees person number B's line, but not person number A's line or the first line person number B wrote. It sounds a little more complicated than it is. Once you do it, it makes complete sense. And then person number C writes their line and their second line and gives it back to person number A. Okay, is that pretty clear?
So we only see one other line.
You only see one other line,
And then you add the third one.
I believe.
Or maybe not, depending on who you are.
Yeah, depending on who you are. So think you guys get into groups of 3 pretty easily. And I'll pass it out real quick. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes. Don't don't try too hard to make it amazing. I'm gonna give this to you because
Using iambic pentameter.